Hi everybody, I'm here to report on yesterday's 2-2 draw against Dundee United at Ibrox. And it's difficult to decide just where to start. Let's start positively. The interim manager, guy in charge temporarily, Stevie Smith, he almost picked the correct starting lineup. I say almost because the thing that surprised me most was the fact that Rothwell was included at the expense of little Connor Barron, who's been one of the better guys this season, especially recently. So that was a shock, and maybe less of a shock, but I still would have preferred it. I was hoping Cornelius would play left back, as he did at Falkirk, and he did it well, and bring in Giga besides Suter, but no, Magoma plays at left back, and we'll talk about him later, but he had a shocker of a game. To say how bad it was worse than Tavernier, so that's really saying something. So anyhow, apart from Magoma playing and Rothwell, the rest of the team looked good, looked an attacking team. The only concern was, would they play totally differently from the way they have been all season under the dud Russell Martin? And in fact, they did. This is the positive bit, by the way. For the first half, the whole of the first half, we dominated the other team. We've done that often enough, but we dominated it in their half. We went forward with the ball. We dominated possession in their half of the field. I think I heard somewhere after the match, we actually had 20 shots at the goal in the first half alone. 20 shots. So it was all very positive. It was as if Stevie Smith realised from the good old days that you have wingers who wing and midfielders who go forward and defenders who don't try and pass it about between each other inside their own area, all that kind of stuff. The one that stood out most because of the change in attitude rather than tactics, I suppose, or maybe it's a bit of both, was the Ant-Man. He was getting the ball and just running forward with it, running past the left back or midfielder, running towards the box and then trying to cut it back inside to the striker or whoever was coming into the box. So that was so unusual. The fans were getting really excited. A guy is actually running past people, going forward. None of this getting the ball, running inside for about 5 yards and then just laying it off to Suter or a midfielder. This is what we wanted to see. This is how the Ant-Man had started his Rangers career in his very first game against Pilsen. So all of them seemingly had that attitude now. Get the ball, go forward with it, run into space, but always forward. Even Joe Rothwell made 2 or 3 decent runs forward with a bit more speed than I had given him credit for. Gassama usually does that anyhow. He was less effective than the Ant-Man in the first half, but he did some nice little touches. And the shining light was Asgard. Gone is the sort of languid, midfielder, not really contributing very much, showing the odd piece of skill when he could. This guy was going forward, taking people on, nice little bits of footwork to get away from defenders or midfielders, passing it forward, doing 1-2s with people. And the first goal he scored was absolutely brilliant. I mean, it might be our goal of the season if things keep going the way they have been, because it started deep, 1-2 with Gassama. He runs forward, gets near the box, gets past one defender, gets into the box, takes on the other defender, and then what a curling top corner shot into the net. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And that really got, the fans were on side already, but that really got us going. So fantastic goal. And by the way, all 4 goals were brilliant goals yesterday. Just a pity 2 of them were against us. But if you were a neutral and you were just looking for great goals, you'd have come away pretty satisfied, whereas Rangers fans came away disgruntled yet again after the second half collapse. So as I say, 1-0 up, playing well, dominating. Dundee United had 1 shot at goal in the first half, and that was a long ball up our right-hand side. Tavernier, nowhere to be seen, of course, that's just normal. The guy is allowed to run in on goal. Suter was kind of half in front of him, and he put his low shot past Suter and past the far post, thankfully. And that was all they had done. Butland didn't have a save in the first half. So, comfortable first half, really encouraging, people enjoying it. Asgard could have had a hat-trick. The goal was saved twice from his shots. Ant-Man had a shot the goalie saved. I think somebody said in radio, I think it was, we actually had 16 shots at goal blocked. And that sums up the difference between us and all the wee Diddy teams. And we'll come to prove that later, because every team who comes to Ibrox, they've got players, defenders, especially central defenders, who will throw themselves in front of shots, who will slide in to block a shot, who will get their bodies somehow in the way of the attacker or in the way of the ball. And that happened, as I say, 16 times apparently yesterday. Good efforts that probably might have gone in the net, but these guys were brave, getting their bodies in front of it, heading it away, hitting off their chest, all that kind of stuff. We don't do that. Other teams do that all the time. So we should have gone in maybe 3 or 4 up, and we didn't, obviously. But we weren't worried, because we thought, oh, give us more of this. This is enjoyable. This is the most enjoyable 45 minutes we've had the whole season. So then second half starts, and right away you could see they dropped off in energy and pace and determination. And I don't know if Dundee United had been given a rollicking by Jim Goodwin, because they came out with more, if it was hard to believe, more fight. They were getting stuck in, fouling us more and getting away with it. I say getting away with it, that means two things. Stupid fouls were just being ignored by Duff referee Don Robertson, and ones where he did blow for a foul and it should have been a booking, he was just giving us the foul, because you don't want to start booking people. And in fact, his first booking came for a Dundee United player for dissent. That's how high that he rates bad fouls. You know, they're not as bad as dissent. Who dares argue with him? They'll get the booking. So anyhow, it was getting worse and worse. We were having less and less attacks, less and less energy, pace, determination. And when the goal came, my first thought was, that guy's offside. And it went to a VAR check, and apparently he was onside. We haven't seen the lines. Well, I haven't seen the lines yet. But even in the still, it was pretty close. But that didn't save us. The move continued from there, came out, and if you watch it again on TV, and even I noticed this at the time, the guy who's going to fire it in from 20 odd yards has bags of time, because Tavernier kind of half-heartedly trundles towards him, with Rothwell not even trundling towards him. He just stands where he is, and the guy's able to shoot between the two of them. Rothwell half turns his back on it, and Tavernier's a yard away from the shot. Where's all this throwing yourself in front of the ball and blocking things the way other teams do? No, that sums up one of our biggest faults. Our guys don't have the heart, the determination. It's as if they think, it's only Dundee United, they wouldn't be able to shoot from 25 yards and put it past Jack Butland. Well, any team can do that against us. Even Alloa can do that. So that's your first mistake in mentality and just sheer determination, bravery, that kind of bravery. So all of a sudden it's one each. That's bad enough. They nearly scored the second before they really did score, and that was when the guy was put through, and Butland had to dive and save it and knock it away. I don't know if it was his foot or his arm, knocked it away, but it was only delaying the inevitable, because the second goal came, and yet again a 25-yarder, the usual suspects nowhere near blocking the shot. Cornelius about 5 yards in front of the guy, Rothwell to the side of him, Raskin this time as well to the other side of him. Free shot at goal, top corner, 2-1. And the sickening thing was looking at the body language of all the players, from Captain Heroic down the way. They're all trundling about, heads down, oh, that's us beaten. It was almost like if you'd allowed them, they'd have just left the field. At that point, it was as if, oh well, that's us lost again. Can we just end this? Can people just get us off this pitch before it gets even worse? So it was shocking. No urgency, no determination to get back in the game. So when we did actually get back in the game, we'd practically given up by that time. 80 odd minutes, and a nice wee chip over from substitute Connor Barron. Moore ran on to another substitute, kept ahead of the defender, stopped, passed it back the way, just put it into the path of Tavernier, who's running into the box. And if he'd missed that, you know, people would have been up in arms. But he fired a great shot into the net to equalise. And that's all we deserved, really. Thankfully, Jack Butland had to save us a couple of minutes later. It would have been 3-2 at the end. So 2 each. Great first half, terrible second half. We need a proper manager who's going to get into these guys' heads and train them properly and get their mentality correct. Otherwise, we're hardly ever going to win a game this season, the way things are going. Upwards and upwards, that's what we need.